My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. I am going to walk through UFC Vegas 43 Vieira versus Tate, the full DraftKings breakdown. We're going to talk about the fighters, their values, who I think is going to win, who I don't think is going to win, who's worth the money, who isn't worth the money, and where you might find some value. Before I jump in, go to wewantpicks.com/DraftKings. We have a free DraftKings league. Join the league, participate in the contest, and if you win a contest, I'll pay you. If you're a subscriber, I'll give you $5 for free for no reason. If you're a member, I'll give you $30. There's a join button under this video. Click it, become a member. It's incredibly helpful. There's some perks. And if you win our free DraftKings league, I'll send you $30. It is that simple. Let's dive right in. So we have 12 fights. Nothing has dropped yet. I have sorted the fighters by most expensive to least expensive, as we normally do. And right out of the gate, the first fight of the night is one of the most expensive fighters on the entire card. We have Pinero, and she is fighting Sam Hughes. Luana's a powerful striker. She's got decent takedowns. She's coming off a weird DQ where everybody called her a quitter. She basically was illegally kicked very hard and then didn't continue to fight, right? Took a DQ win because it was illegal. But let's be honest, she was dominating that fight. It was 4 minutes into the first round. She already had 4 takedowns, a bunch of strikes. She was dominating. Some people say, I'm not going to name names, some people say she was tired, took the easy way out because she was exhausted. But let's be realistic. She was beating the hell out of Randa Marcos and would have beat the hell out of Randa Marcos in that fight. So she scored 129 points in that. You know, it does technically a first round stoppage, so it's a little, the points are a little skewed, but she did have, I said 4 takedowns. She had 5 takedowns, 30 strikes and 2 minutes of control time, or 30 significant strikes, and 2 minutes of control time in under 1 round. I think Pinero does that same thing to Sam Hughes, minus the illegal kick. She's fighting Sam Hughes. Sam Hughes is a decent striker, and she's aggressive, but she's super, super hittable. She gets taken down like crazy. In her last fight, she was taken down 4 times against Lookboonme, who is a very small Muay Thai kickboxer. So I don't see much from Sam Hughes here. I don't see her being able to offer a lot against Pinero, but Pinero is $9,300. That is a lot of money to spend, and you just have to decide, do you think she's going to get a ton of takedowns? Because if she gets a ton of takedowns, which she might, those are 5 points each. So, 5 points each, those add up very quickly. So I don't know what I'm going to do with Luana, but I definitely think she's going to win. She should put up decent points. I don't know if you'll get your $9,300 worth. Then we have Tate Santos, another female fight. She's fighting Joanne Calderwood, who I now know has been remarried to somebody with the last name Wood. So she's now Joanne Wood. I was wondering where the Calder went, and now we know. So Tate Santos is kind of a beast, honestly. She's a striker. She hits hard. She's not incredibly technical, but she is powerful. She is athletic. She is willing to slug it out. And she has really good grappling. She averages almost 3 takedowns per fight. Joanne Calderwood, JJ Calderwood, JoJo Calderwood, or Joanne Wood, however you want to refer to her, she mixes up her techniques really well. She's also a striker, but she uses everything. Kicks, punches, elbows, and she does get fluid. She does get comfortable. This is a really tough fight for Tate, but I do think Tate beats on her. I think she's better everywhere. I think she's more dangerous on her feet, even though she won't be as technical. And she's definitely the better grappler who can get Calderwood or get Wood to the ground and make stuff happen there. If we look at her points, I mean, she scores pretty well. Obviously, 78 points against Robertson wasn't a ton, but she does score really well in her wins. Look at the takedown numbers. 2 different fights, she had 5 takedowns. And this one was against Molly McCann, who's also a very good striker. So I wouldn't be surprised if she took that approach. I wouldn't be surprised if she came out here, took Joanne Wood down a bunch of times to avoid any striking issues. And then in that case, she'll put up 100 or more. Again, $9,200. You just have to determine if you think that's worth it. Then we have Adrian Yanez fighting Davy Grant. Adrian Yanez, a nasty little striker. He's fun. He's technical. He has good power, and he has an incredible chin. Davy Grant, listen, we've seen him. He wrote himself a little bit of a knockout streak there, but he's actually a grappler at heart. He came into the UFC as a grappler, but he's developed knockout power and has gotten comfortable over time. It's an interesting fight. I do think it stays standing most likely, and if it does, Adrian Yanez should blow through Davey. We've seen Davey have chin issues, right? We've seen him get wobbled. We've seen him get rocked in some of his fights, and Adrian Yanez is not the type of guy you want to be out there testing your chin. And even if he does take down Adrian, right now, Adrian Yanez has a 100% takedown defense. Granted, those stats are a little skewed because he only 5 times has he needed to even defend a takedown. So he's defended all 5. He's 5 for 5. I guess we'll find out how good his takedown defense is because I imagine he's in a touch-up Davey. Davey will look to grapple, but I think Adrian Yanez is the real deal. My only hesitation here is if you look at this fight with Randy Costa, you're going to say, oh, wow, 106 points, and he got a KO in the second round. Here's the thing, though. He lost that first round. He just could not find a rhythm, couldn't get it going. He lost that first round and was well on his way to losing that fight, and then he just put it together, got a big shot in the second round, and capitalized from there. So, I guess you could say there's some random questions, but I think Adrian Yanez is probably a safe pick, should dominate this fight, could potentially put up some real points, especially with a KO, TKO. Sean Soriano, I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce his opponent's name, but Sean Soriano is fighting Shaylan, and then the last name, you can see it on the screen. There's a 0% chance I get that correct. But this is an interesting matchup. Sean Soriano, $9,000. I'm on the other side of this. I think this fight is close. I think these odds are wrong. Sean does have heavy hands. He's incredibly fast, but we haven't really seen him do what he's supposed to do in the UFC. We've seen him cut in 2015. We've seen him come back just a few months ago, and he lost that fight. On the regional scene, he looks like a killer. He gets to the UFC and just, for some reason, can't put it together. Maybe it's the higher level of competition. Maybe it's the pressure. I don't know. But Sean Soriano, while very talented, hasn't been able to be his talented self inside the UFC. Where Shaylan, listen, my only hesitation is his striking defense is not great. He gets hit a good amount. But, he comes forward. He fights well. He has a bully style where he'll push you against the cage. He'll just bully you around, big shots, big punches. He plots forward and he works takedowns from there. And he works takedowns pretty well. He'll transition from one to another. I'm on the other side of this pick, so I'm definitely not spending $9,000 on a guy who's been very inconsistent in the UFC. Look at this. He doesn't have a single win in the DraftKings era of the UFC. So I'm not on this side of the pick, and I'm certainly not spending this money in DraftKings. We have Sean Brady in the co-main event against Michael Kiesa. Listen, this is an interesting one because this is a tough fight. This is a good, close fight. And it should be a ton of fun. Michael Kiesa, we all know, big, strong guy, good grappler, miserable stand-up. He does not want to stand up. He's not good at stand-up. He just immediately wants to get it to the ground and work from there. And he is big and strong and has cardio and can push the pace, which makes Michael Kiesa dangerous. Sean Brady is also a very high-level grappler, very good grappler. He's got legit power in his hands. He comes forward, throws bombs. He'll do some spinning techniques. And he's dangerous on his feet, and he's definitely dangerous on the ground. I'm razor thin on this pick. I like Sean Brady here literally because he is willing to trade, willing to mix it up on his feet, where Michael Kiesa wants absolutely nothing to do with that. And if you look at Michael Kiesa's last fight, he had, what's his name? He had Vicente Luque on the ground, could have taken his back and worked from there. Instead, he jumped on the neck, got way too excited. That's where he got reversed. That's how he ended up getting submitted, is he just got too excited, was forcing the action there. And, Michael doesn't make a ton of bad decisions on the ground, but, making a bad decision against Vicente Luque cost him, and he could potentially do the same against Sean Brady. Sean Brady is the more well-rounded guy, but the one thing that really worries me here is Michael Kiesa's cardio. He will just come forward, continue moving. He doesn't gas. He doesn't slow down, and I could see him losing 2 rounds, pulling it off in the third. I actually have a bet on Michael Kiesa. I bet plus 3.5, which means I bought a single round on the judge's scorecard. So Michael Kiesa could lose a decision, but win 1 round, and I hit my bet. So I'm probably not going to spend $8,900 on Sean Brady. I don't think he puts Michael Kiesa away. I do think he wins, but I think it's a very competitive fight. And Michael Kiesa is so big, so much cardio, and he's also talented that I think he can make it an ugly fight, especially later if Sean Brady starts to slow down. Then we've got my girl Lupita Godinez, and she's fighting Loma Lookboonme, who's a nasty Muay Thai striker. Lupita Godinez, this is another short notice fight. She just took a short notice fight 3 weeks ago, and she lost a decision, but that was up a weight class, and Lupita needs to be the bully. She needs to come forward, needs to grab you, toss you, throw you down, push you around, and beat you up. And she couldn't do that when she went up to 125, but this is at 115. She should be able to do the bullying here. Loma Lookboonme, her opponent, is a nasty Muay Thai striker, but she is small, she is undersized, and I can see Loopy pushing her around, imposing just her physical presence and making that happen. Loma does get taken down, has been taken down in her fights. And Lupita averages almost 5 takedowns per fight. I see Loopy bullying, being big, making it happen, getting it done. And if you look at her fights here, 2 takedowns against Carolina in a loss, 3 against Jessica Penne in a loss, but that was a BS loss. She won that fight. But she doesn't necessarily score a ton of points. Even if you gave her the Jessica Penne decision, add 30, that's 77. $9,200, you only got 77 points? No, thank you. Let's say she beats Carolina. Again, that's 67 at $9,000. No, thank you. I'm probably not gonna spend the money here, but I do like Lupita to win this fight. We got Pat Sabatini versus Tucker Lutz. Pat Sabatini, nasty grappler. Nasty grappler. You saw that in his last fight. He got dropped big time. Big time dropped in his fight against Jamal Emmers. And they hit the ground. There was some scrambling. Pat Sabatini snatched it up, got a submission, and went from there. And a lot of people saw that fight and like, oh, he got lucky. Pat Sabatini's striking is not very good. I argue the other side. I think his striking is very good. He has a nice in and out bouncing style. And I think he just overcommitted to going in there, got clipped, and it is what it is. But he is a good technical striker. He does have solid technique. Tucker Lutz is a good striker with solid power. He also has a wrestling background, and he has nice slam style takedowns. This is a razor thin fight, a super close fight. But if you dig into the striking stats of Tucker Lutz, he has a 5-4 striking differential, which means he hits you 5 times and only gets hit 4 times in return, which sounds great. But he also averages more than 2 takedowns per fight, which means he spends a good amount of the fight on top. And all of that time on top, he's not getting hit. So that means while he's standing and in those striking exchanges, he is getting hit a lot. Because it was 5-4, and you imagine when he's on top, he's hitting a bunch, getting a bunch of strikes there. But when they're neutral, feet to feet, he's on the wrong side of a lot of that. Pat Sabatini has very underrated striking. Pat Sabatini has the better wrestling, Pennsylvania wrestler, and Pat Sabatini definitely has the better submissions. I like Pat to win this fight. $8,700. I think he's live for a submission, and even if there's a decision, look what he did here. 83 points in a decision win. Tons of control time. Made it happen. I like Pat Sabatini. I will probably have him in my lineup. Take a look at Cody Durden. Cody Durden is fighting Aori Lang or Kiori Lang. His name's listed a few different ways. But Cody Durden's a wrestler. He throws big, looping power punches to close the distance, and then he gets takedowns. Takedowns are good. He chains wrestles. Solid. Always hunting. His takedown accuracy is listed at 30%, but that's literally because he's always hunting for a takedown. So he'll lose 3 and then get 1 and bang, 30%. Kilang, Aoriang, Kilori. He's well-rounded, incredible pressure, always comes forward. He can fight a technical fight or he can brawl to the bell. And like Cody, he uses his striking to set up takedowns. He does it differently, though. He's got solid footwork. He's got much cleaner striking and a very sturdy chin. He is listed at 100% takedown defense, but he doesn't have enough fights to really dig into that. I'm actually on the Kilang side of this fight. So I'm not going to have Cody Durden at $8,600, but if you do think he'll get some takedowns and put up some points, then go for it. But I'm not on this side. I think he's a bit overrated. I think Kiori Lang is a bit underrated. A lot of people pretty harsh on these Chinese fighters saying that they're not stepping up. But Aori Kilang is I think he's got some solid potential there, can make something happen. We have Natan Levy. There's no stats here because this is his UFC debut. This is a very interesting fight because Natan Levy is making his UFC debut. He's only, 6-0? His entire career is 6 fights, where Rafa Garcia, his opponent, I don't have his record in front of me, but he's got like 15 fights, 20 fights, something crazy like that. So there's a world of experience difference between these two guys. And Natan Levy's a young, hot prospect. He's a grappler. I guess he does have a karate background and is credentialed in karate, but he does nothing standing. He immediately wants to get it to the ground. Rafa Garcia is a very good grappler, but will bang away on his feet, and he has real power, and damn it, is that dude tough. He is coming off of a incredibly disappointing loss to Chris Gritzmacher. He should have blown through Chris, but Rafa Garcia has cardio issues. So he had Chris almost knocked out and then just completely gassed, couldn't get it done, ended up losing a decision. Natan Levy, as I mentioned, he does have a karate background, but he is a grappler. He fights like a grappler. He wants it to get it ground as quickly as possible. Every fight you watch, he is immediately looking to get that to the ground. But I will say, if you look closer, he's highly touted. People are all over Natan Levy. But if you watch those fights, he ends up in trouble on the ground. So he has 6 wins. 3 are by stoppage. 3 are decisions. If you look at the stoppage, they're very opportunistic. One of them is easily found on YouTube. Dude took a bad shot. Natan had some of the worst takedown defense I've ever seen. He's reaching over the body, which you're never supposed to do. His hips aren't going back. But then he worked into a guillotine, got it, submission, good for him. But if you look at his decision wins, he's like defending Kimuras, defending guillotines, and he's on top. He's riding it out. But he's just young, inexperienced, gets, I don't want to say sloppy, but gets a bit sloppy on top. I like Rafa Garcia here. Rafa's my pick, so I'm definitely not spending $8,500 on a UFC debut with less than half the experience of his opponent. Then we have Terrence Mckinney. I picked Terrence Mckinney in his last fight. He had a knockout in 7 seconds. It was a short notice fight. He showed up and absolutely knocked that dude out cold, and I was all for it. Interesting fun fact, Michael Kiesa was Terrence McKinney's high school wrestling coach. Michael Kiesa, effective wrestler. Terrence McKinney, nasty wrestler. He's a JUCO All-American. That's junior college All-American. I mentioned this before. Junior college All-Americans are typically D1 level wrestlers that, for whatever reason, didn't get into a big D1 school. Maybe it was their grades, financial aid, whatever it is. So Terrence McKinney, legit wrestler, but he has knockout power in his hands. Ferocity, his opponent, long-rangey striker. He does work well if he gets into a clinch, but he picks his shots, takes his time, and is perfectly happy riding a very slow decision. I see Terrence McKinney coming out, throwing big. He's coming off a knockout, probably wants another one. I don't think he's going to get to Ferocity. I don't think he's going to knock him out because, Ferocity uses that range really, really well. So I think he'll get frustrated, like, all right, I can't touch the dude. I can't knock him out. Let me just do some takedowns. And I think he takes him down, bullies him, beats up Ferocity. $8,400. Terrence McKinney has knockout potential, although I'm not positive that's what's going to happen, but knockout potential and takedown potential. I like Terrence McKinney in this fight. $8,400 is a great value. Main event, we got Miesha Tate fighting Ketlen Vieira. And Miesha Tate's interesting, right? Because she took a 5-year layoff, stepped away from the sport for 5 full years. She came back just a few months ago, fought a 40-something-year-old gym teacher, but she looked great. Physically, Miesha looked fantastic. It looked like the best shape she has ever been in. Got a nice, clean takedown and got herself a finish when Vegas was saying she's definitely not going to finish because historically, she was not a big finisher. But Miesha Tate, let's not forget, she is the former world champion of this weight class, and she did it while on her back. She threw up an armbar. She was losing that fight, threw up an armbar, submitted Holly Holm, became the champion of that weight class. Ketlen Vieira, big, powerful, comes forward, throws heavy punches, works takedown, and then just beats up on top. Listen, I like Ketlen to win this fight. But if you're on the Miesha Tate side, grab her. It is a 5-round fight, likely goes the distance, and we're talking $8,300. That's basically even money. If you're on this side, grab her. Obviously, she scored a ton of points in her last fight. You can't go by that. But if you look at Holly Holm, there was a stoppage there. But if you look at Jessica Ai, she scored 84 points in that decision. like she puts up numbers if she wins, because if she wins, it's because she got some takedowns. She had some control time. She beat up on top. I think she's on the wrong side of all of that, but she is a true veteran. I do think she loses, but again, if you're on this side, $8,300 is a great price point for a fight that probably goes to decision and is 5 rounds. Let's take a look. We have Kang, and he is fighting Ronnie Yaya. This is a battle of the grapplers. Ronnie Yaya is an incredible grappler. High-level Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Pretty well-rounded. His striking's getting better. He's got big, powerful hands, and his takedown attempts are relentless. He literally never stops. Just shoot. Tries to get the ground. Kang, who we see here at $8,200, he hasn't fought in 2 years. He is well-rounded. He uses range to keep you at distance, but when he wants to work in, he comes in, he works his own takedowns, and takedowns, grappling is absolutely his path to victory. The problem is that's his path to victory in most fights. He's fighting Ronnie Yaya, phenomenal grappler. I don't know if he wants to be on the ground with Ronnie. So it's a weird situation where Kang is going to have to go against his instincts, go against his best skill set to try to keep this standing, because if it stays standing, he can probably beat Ronnie. The problem is if he goes to the ground, I don't think he can beat him there, and I think he gets beat up. So Ronnie Yaya is the pick. I don't think Kang is going to pull this off. I'm not going to have him in my lineup, but again, we're in the middle of the pack here. If you're at this price, grab him. If you like him, $8,200, you can't go wrong, because let's look at his last two. 93 in that decision, because he had 3 takedowns, a bunch of control time. 3 takedowns against Davis, bunch of control time, 100 points. Had a submission, 118. And yes, it is absolutely possible he takes Ronnie down, stays on top, and avoids getting submitted. That's obviously possible. That's just a dangerous game to play with somebody like Ronnie Yaya. I'm not going with Kang, but certainly we're talking even money, so you might as well give it a shot if you're on that side. And that's it. I broke down every single fight. But what I want to do very quickly is let's take a look. Who are we going to look at here? Let's take a look at Kilang. He's only had 1 fight in the UFC, and it was a loss. But he put up 67 points. He had 3 takedowns, a bunch of strikes, and some control time. And this is the type of guy, $7,600, I'll have him in my lineup. Even if he lost at $7,600, put up 67 points, you'll do well. Last week's perfect lineup had a loss in it. 2 weeks ago, or was it 2 weeks ago? Sorry, 2 weeks ago, the perfect lineup had a loss. Actually, so did last week. So you want to get 6 people who will win. You want to get 6 stoppages if you can. If not, chase these people who do well in losses. Put up big points in their losses. They go out there, they get something done. They put up solid points. That's the breakdown, guys. Don't forget to join the free DraftKings League, wewantpicks.com/DraftKings. If you're a subscriber and you win the league, I'll send you $5 just for supporting us for no reason other than thank you. If you're a member, I'll send you $30 if you're a member. Click the join button on this video. Become a member. I'll see you on Saturday. Before you go to wewantpicks.com/bets. You've heard me mention this a million times, but I'm going to do it again. wewantpicks.com/bets. We have 3 different betting partners. All 3 of them offer deposit matches. All 3 of them will give you free money. But once you click on a link, once you make a deposit, let me know, and I will also give you free money. I will send you $50 cash. PayPal, Venmo, CASHAPP, however you want it, I will send you $50. Just make a deposit. Let me know. I'll need your username. I'll verify the deposit, and I will get you paid. It is that simple. Literally just to thank you for supporting us, supporting our partners, supporting the channel. Thank you for everything. Thanks for the watch. We'll see you on Saturday.